Okay.
That would
Okay,
be
I will.
fine. I don't have
Good
anything
evening
for it,
and
so-
welcome to the June 30th regular city council meeting. D. Stiles Elliott, our city clerk, will you please call roll?
Mayor Benjamin,
Present.
Councilmember Fajarin,
Present.
Councilmember McDonald,
Present.
Councilmember Parks, Councilmember Schulmus,
Present.
Councilmember Vance,
Here.
Councilmember Weller, Councilmember Wright.
Here,
Councilmember Weller requested to be excused tonight. Can I entertain a motion?
so moved.
Seconded.
That, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? He's excused. So for our community announcements,
Wait, what about me?
What?
I'm sorry.
She's in Michigan.
I didn't get the question.
Ann Parks is not here.
Correct.
She's in Michigan.
Do we need to do the same thing?
Excuse her too.
Okay.
I hadn't heard from her.
I heard already.
So Ann is also is requested. Well, the request coming is not here. Is requested to be excused. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Seconded. Yeah.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. On to announcements first of all, Bishop Boulevard paving. The crews are moving into a very busy time next week. So paving on Tuesday, July 7th and Wednesday, July 8th is one where vehicle access to Bishop Boulevard will be significantly restricted. During that time, on Tuesday, you will not be, Harvest Drive will be closed at Bishop Boulevard, both directions from Harvest Drive, just to be able to understand that, so that intersection is closed. Bishop businesses are open during this week, but please expect long delays as you need to access them through the construction zone. We apologize for the inconvenience while we pave this section of the road and greatly appreciate your patience with the plan for the paving to be done July 8th and the rest of the work fairly soon after that. Pullman City Hall, Parks Recreation Center, and other public Pullman administrative offices will be closed for Independence Day on Friday, July 3rd. Rainy Park Pool will be open July 3rd but closed on July 4th. Neal Public Library will be closed both days. And since we're going into the 4th, we do have some fireworks notice. So we look forward to seeing you at Sunnyside Park for Pullman's 51st annual 4th of July celebration and fireworks display. The festivities will kick off at 5 p.m. We have live music that will include the community band The Palouse, performances by Porter Cage and DJ Goldfinger. The fireworks will start around 10 p.m. Remember, the parking is limited at Sunnyside Park, but Pullman Transit routes is free, and that starts at 4:30 on Saturday to pick up passengers from many of the bus stops, as well as there'll be park and ride locations too, which also includes you can drop passengers off at Coast Hilltop. Find more information at pullman-wa.gov/July 4th shuttle. Also remember that personal fireworks are only legal in Pullman on July 3rd between 9 a.m. and 11 p.m. and July 4th between 9 a.m. and midnight. And personal fireworks are not allowed in Sunnyside Park during the celebration, and also are not allowed on City of Pullman or Pullman School District parking lots, parks, or other property. On to Parks and Recreation. Even though we're in the middle of summer, Parks and Recreation looking for instructors for fall classes and other activities. If you're interested, you can apply at pullman-wa.gov/instructors. And the pickleball courts that are down at City Playfields continuing. There's work happening there, so they'll be closed July 6th through July 10th. The courts at Krugel Park and Sunnyside Park will still be available during that time. Summer reading, Neal Public Library's 2026 summer reading programs in full swing for both youth and adults. Download your summer reading bingo cards and find a full list of fun activities at pullman-wa.gov/NPL. And to see a listing of other community events, you can visit the city's tourism page at visit-pullman.com/events. Okay. The next item on the agenda is an opportunity for the public to bring comments to the attention of elected officials. Specifically, these items are reserved for public comments, concerns, or other information not related to a specific public hearing. This agenda item is for comments will not exceed 30 minutes in total. Comments will be directed to the mayor, the city council as a body. No comments should be directed to an individual council member. And since we are into the campaign season, in compliance with Washington's campaign laws regarding use of public facilities during election, no speakers may support or oppose a ballot measure or support or oppose a candidate for an election, which includes your own campaign. So any speaker who begins discussing items of this topic will be asked to stop. With that, is there anyone who would like to provide community comments? And if you could please state your name so we can get it right in the minutes. Thank you.
I'm Rick Grunwald. Mr. Mayor and members of the council, I'm a member of the Pullman's America 250 Planning Committee, and tonight I wanted to publicly thank Ariel Maderos, I hope I'm saying her name right, for her leadership for the committee. I had a great time on Saturday afternoon at the Pine Street Mall. There were tables set up. It was the Power of Place Information Fair. I had a great time both at the table and walking around talking to the others at the other tables and the passersby. It's a great time to have contact with people in Pullman. And the community band played, and that was a real treat. I enjoyed that a lot. Then after, I was really energized after it, and I decided I'm going to go on the historic walking tour by the Historic Preservation Commission of our downtown buildings, and that was a real treat as well. There was narratives, there was pictures, and I got to talk to a couple of new residents of Pullman. So thanks again to Ariel, and there are other events coming up throughout the summer, so I encourage everybody to participate.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to provide community comments? If not, I'll close that. The next item is reports and presentations, as with this being a study session. It's an opportunity for our city council members and myself to report out reports of any of the committees and groups that we're on and involved with. And I'll go and start on my left with Councilmember Vance, and we'll just kind of work our way around. And I know there's a list of different committees that you're on, if you have any reports in that way or any comments that you'd like to make.
Yeah, I'll be probably the quickest. The Board of Volunteer Firefighters and Reserve Officers, we've not met yet. And then for LTAC, I know Councilmember Wright has an update to share, so I'll defer to Councilmember Wright.
Councilmember Fajera.
Thank you. I have an update from Palouse RTPO, the Coordinated Public Transit Human Services Transportation Plan, which is kind of like our comprehensive plan, except Palouse RTPO does it for the region. Identifies transportation needs of public transportation agencies and users such as seniors, persons with disabilities, and persons with low income. The final draft comment period ended actually today, and we hope to have a final draft by September that I will share with council. Thank you.
And yes, okay. With that, Councilmember Wright.
So I'll actually be presenting a more detailed overview of the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee in the actual presentations portion of tonight's meeting. So I won't be reporting on the LTAC, what we would call the committee report. I will say that this committee, though, does meet on the second Tuesday of each month, and we have the opportunity to grant requests for tourism dollars to support attracting visitors to Pullman. And so it is a very valuable committee, and as I say, I will report in more detail further on into the meeting. So, thank you.
And for me, I have two items. One with the airport board, the The restaurant has been going very well. If you haven't had a chance to go out there and try it, the restaurant is both on the land side and on the air side, which means you can stop in, and even if you're not going through the airport, you can stop in and still get breakfast, lunch, or dinner there. So that's something good to enjoy in that way. The second thing that I wanted to bring is just as a reminder, everyone should have received at least one mailing now from Whitman County Public Health related to their health survey that they're doing. I want to encourage everyone, and especially everybody in the community, to complete this survey if you can. This data is something that is publicly shared with other organizations and is actually is a very valuable data because this helps to be able to apply for a number of grants. And it also gives a good understanding of really the health of our region and our community. So I'd encourage you to complete that. If you go to Whitman County Public Health, all one word, .org, you can get the link for that. With that, Councilmember McDonald.
I've provided updates on the DPA and the CIP last week, or whenever our last meeting was. So I skipped doing them. It's basically the same at this time.
Councilmember Shumas.
I am, let me double check here. Oh, I am audit, I'm pretty sure. Yes, just going back here. Actually, I don't have anything necessarily to comment on the audit committee, only that I continue to try and figure out what all the codes mean. I am going to crack it. I'm going to get it all figured out.
That's part of the learning process.
Yeah.
Now, this part was also, if you had any announcements, because they were kind of merged together, people may not have realized that. So, Councilman Shumas, do you have any announcements that you would have given?
Yes, absolutely. I was just going to say that I went to my first Association of Washington Cities conference last week with everybody, and I had a phenomenal time, and I learned every day since I've become a city council member, I have learned so much more. I am a better citizen, and I'm really enjoying learning everything, even the things that I don't necessarily love in the moment. And I just wanted to say to people that it's really worthwhile to get involved. There's a lot of different ways you can get involved, like Pullman Civic Trust, the Heart and Soul, 2040, DPA, and so I just wanted to say, if you have time, get involved. Thank you.
Anyone else that would like to provide any of their comments? Councilmember Pajeron.
Thank you. Just an announcement about a housing resource next week. Next Wednesday, July 8th from 12 to 1, there is a live conversation with Washington State Insurance Commissioner Patty Kuder, We will be exploring the intersection of homeowners insurance, consumer protection, disaster resilience, and housing affordability. And it's a live discussion with the audience Q&A. You can register at homeownership-wa.org. Thank you.
Great. Okay, next up is presentations, and we have the honor of having with us Whitman County District Court Judge John Hart to give his State of the Court address. Sounds so formal.
I don't know, I dressed up for it. You want me over here?
So you're up.
Sit or podium.
You can either sit or be at the podium, whichever you prefer.
Sit and I'll hang out on the podium.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for having us. I was looking around and I'm thinking, what a wonderful community we live in. I look around this room and I have connected with every person in this room on a professional and a personal level. I guess when you live someplace for about 25 years, that tends to happen. But I thank you for welcoming us, for allowing us to come speak with you today. Before I forget, I want to introduce you to Melise Stiglich. If you haven't met Melise, she is our court administrator. She joined us in August of 2025. She succeeded Marlon Markley, who served our county as our court administrator for 41 years. She left the State of Washington Court Administrator of the Year And that was by no means a Lifetime Achievement Award. She earned that in her final days as our court administrator. We contracted with Pullman, the city's aware of that organization, excellent organization out of Issaquah, conducted a national search, and we're fortunate to find and convince Melise to move her entire family from the city of Sandy, Utah, the Salt Lake City area, to come join us. She lives here with her family in Pullman with 3 kids, great husband, Max. They live right around the corner because it's Pullman. Everybody lives right around the corner, right? And so I like to flatter Melise because she's very modest and doesn't take it very well, so that's always fun for me. I've labeled her a logistician, right? And I've charged her with a very important duty. She has been and will continue to assess all of our procedures, all of our processes, and her and my shared goal, obviously on a grander scale or a wider spectrum, is to provide justice to the people of our community. But in particular for Melise, her goal is to move us toward best practices, to enhance efficiencies, effectiveness. She's done an amazing job to this point, and I know she's going to continue to do so. And so I thank her for also coming and hanging out with us when she probably should be home with the kids. We'll get her there eventually. So this is the 3rd or 4th time I've addressed City Council since I've been. I'm John Hart. I'm your Whitman County District Court Judge. And 3rd or 4th time that I've had the honor and opportunity to address you all. I thank you for listening. I see time here. Thank you, Dee, for not putting up a ticking down time clock on me so I can ramble on a little bit. But it is important. We've been in business, the county and the city of Pullman, for the better part of 45 plus years. I feel it's been an excellent collaboration. It's been very productive. It's very important to provide our constituents, our shared constituents, justice in this community, both Pullman and in Whitman County. Something I'll circle back to, and you'll probably hear me say a couple of times, I feel there's an important economy of scale that's beneficial, mutually beneficial, but in particular beneficial for the city of Pullman. And just appreciative to connect and to continue to collaborate. I'll talk about that in some greater detail because you ought to feel good about the investment you're making, the financial investment that you make contracting with the county, and the end result, justice in our county, is so important. And it kind of starts with a good understanding. Most of you already know this, and I apologize if it's redundant, but just a basic understanding of how the courts work in the state of Washington. Greg Humbright, now retired, invited me on at least one occasion, maybe only one. Maybe there's a reason I didn't get invited back. But I had this great PowerPoint that I won't bore you with tonight that talks about the judiciary, talks about our 3 branches of government. A very, very brief overview. Most of you that hopefully I know you know. We have several levels of courts, right? It starts at the top. The Washington State Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, that's your appellate level courts. You move into the superior courts. Every county is required to have a superior court. We call that the Court of Original or General Jurisdiction. But practically speaking, these days, our superior courts are hearing adult felony cases, family law cases, juvenile cases, higher end civil cases, and protection orders. You move down to courts that are created by statute. We call them courts of limited jurisdiction. That's municipal and district courts. I call these the people's court. This is where if you are to go to court, it's likely to be this court. And that's based on data and based on the type of cases that we hear. The data is this. You combine Washington Supreme Court, Court of Appeals, and all superior courts, you're looking at about 500,000 cases. The courts of limited jurisdiction, and that's a year. The courts of limited jurisdiction hear approximately 4.5 million cases statewide. That's a huge number. And the types of cases are also important. And this is where we can start to talk about the benefit that the city of Pullman has in the contract with the county. Municipalities of greater than 400,000 people are required to have a municipal court. That's one. That's Seattle. Others have the opportunity, the ability to establish and maintain a municipal court. I was once a municipal court judge in Colfax on a part-time basis. And my feeling about all courts, but in particular the creation and maintenance of a municipal court, is about a balance of service and money and finances. And I'm sad to report that when you look statewide, historically, municipal courts are disappearing. Now, Judge O'Sullivan up in Spokane isn't she has a great job, security, Spokane is busy and Spokane Municipal Court is busy there. But Olympia just shut down their municipal court, and other courts have and will shut down. And it's not because the service isn't needed, it's because financially it's very difficult to operate a municipal court. We all know the budgets are crunched throughout government, but one thing that's really impacting our courts of limited jurisdiction and even the superior courts, courts aren't intended to create revenue, but courts must, by mandate of our legislature, collect it when it's authorized and it's necessary. And there's a benchmark case called State versus Blazina. This is now 15 years old, and it tells a judge that you must make an inquiry with a criminal defendant when sentencing that individual into their ability to pay. And if they don't have the ability to pay because they're indigent, you cannot impose LFOs. It's not up to me to applaud or criticize our courts of appeals. It's up to me to follow their mandate. And I can tell you about 80% of the defendants that appear in our courts are indigent. They're court-appointed counsel. And so we just don't collect revenue. We're mandated to have a district court in Pullman County. We're not going anywhere. And we find we just run very fiscally responsible and lean and adapt when necessary. Unfortunately, many municipal courts are not able to do that, and so they're closing, and they're becoming absorbed by their local county court. We haven't had that issue for the better part of 45 years in Pullman because of this excellent collaboration that we've had between the county and the city. And it really comes back to economy of scale and service. Municipal courts have jurisdiction over criminal misdemeanor offenses and infractions, both traffic and municipal ordinances. District courts have a broader jurisdiction where they also have jurisdiction over a civil jurisdiction up to $100,000. A lot of that is debt collection. Where that really impacts a community like Pullman is in small claims, where an individual can sue for up to $10,000. Also, protection orders. We have concurrent jurisdiction with superior courts for protection orders. What I mean by that is when an individual is seeking protection and restraining another individual on the basis of anti-harassment or on alleged harassment, domestic violence, sexual assault, or stalking. We see a lot of those cases here in Pullman, and a lot of them involving young people. And a lot of them involving people of lower socioeconomic status, people that, but not for the availability to come to the Whitman County District Court in the Pullman branch, may not have that access to justice. There may be a barrier that keeps them from interacting with the court, from receiving justice, because they're unable to get to Colfax. Or that's just Colfax for any of us, most of us, is just a short trip up the road. Monday, Wednesday, Friday for Melissa and I at very least. But for someone that has transportation issues, that has an inability to get there, it's very difficult. So it's so important that we're here 5 days a week. We have an administrative office in the former City Hall building. Working with Sergeant Harris and Chief Brashears, we're going to be, well, and you all know about this, we're going to swap space. And it's going to be mutually beneficial because we're going to have a little bit more room, and then Law enforcement will probably take over that other side of the building entirely, and that'll be good for them as well. So we're there 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We hold court Tuesday and Thursday. We're in Colfax Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And again, for me, the ability to serve the people of Pullman, to be convenient, to be available, to answer those questions, it's everything for someone who otherwise may not have that connection with the court. Mindful of your time and considerate of that, I want to segue into what we're up to, what we're doing, give you an update there, and then give you an opportunity to ask me or Melissa any questions you may have. Anytime I speak to a public forum, I remember 2018 when my lovely wife Shannon, when she and I knocked on a lot of doors in the community, both in Pullman and throughout the county. And even though I always recognize Judge Doug Robinson as an excellent steward for justice in our community, he's an older guy. And he was retiring, and I identified a couple of needs in our court, and I want to update you on what we've done with those items in particular. One is the technology in our court. Judge Robinson was quite analog when our court was quite analog, and on day one we digitalized our court. We in an effort to create as much efficiency as we could. We volunteered to be an early adopter court in a brand new case management system. This is going to further advance our technology, our efficiency, and open access to our courts. There's a product called Research, RE:search, very clever. This is a Tyler Technologies product, as is our new case management system. You can go check it out on any search engine and set up a free account, and it can provide you access to data of our courts. That's great for court users. They have questions. They want to know when their court date is. They want to know what time, where they can find this information. Melissa has made great advancements and will continue to do so with our website, giving people, young people are very tech savvy, I'm told. And they hop on and they file petitions and they interact with the court without ever having to pick up a phone or come into the office, which is beneficial. So we're really making every effort to continue to enhance that technology. For me, I want all the machines and the computers to do their work efficiently and quickly so I can have that human side, that human interaction and connection with our litigants. See, our courts are a place of problem solving. You have to identify the problem, you have to address it, you have to meet that person where they're at. And if you're spending all of your time on processes and administration, that limits your amount of time to really connect, and that's really what I think makes a difference. Courthouse security, we inch forward incrementally. It's been a process. It's an opportunity for me to let you know that Melissa, and before her Marlene, and myself, we apply for every grant available to provide security in our courts. My slogan, inscription on my tombstone will be, security is a proactive measure, not a reactive one. And I thought it would be a lot easier for us to fulfill that obligation, the responsibility that Melissa and I share, that I have and I delegate to her. But it's just about money. We apply for so much grant money, we spend it well, and really what we're encountering is there's a human side of that. The human resource is the most expensive, and that is that remains to be a barrier. But we inch forward, and we will never forget that it's our obligation to make sure everyone that comes into our courthouse and our courtroom is safe, and that's something I'm mindful of every day. Finally, the thing I'm most excited about, that I'm always most excited about, is our therapeutic court. We created a therapeutic court 3.5 years ago. If you're not familiar with therapeutic courts, this is this is authorized and encouraged by our legislature. desire to recognize that many people, typically in the context of our therapeutic court, low-level, misdemeanor, non-violent offenders, or alleged offenders, people that are alleged to have committed a violation of the law, that if that's an end result, a byproduct of a health issue, meaning substance use disorder, health, mental health, something diagnosable, and it is diagnosable, that person is willing to identify that and participate in a treatment program. That's the kind of person we want in our therapeutic court. This is a data-driven approach. It is not a lack of accountability. A lot of the opponents to therapeutic court think you're bypassing accountability. It's actually an enhanced level of accountability. It requires so much time and so much effort from our participants, so much more than if they were just placed on regular probation. And the data shows that when these programs are available and people participate in them, it improves their lives. It improves their families' lives. It lowers rates of recidivism and makes our community safer. I am so proud to tell you that we've had 10 graduates. These are people that came to us in a time of crisis. They were unhoused, they were unemployed, they were in an unstable place. And they made a very brave and difficult decision to identify, to recognize what the issue that they're afflicted with or issues, and to be vulnerable and accept help, and to participate, and to show up, and to make that effort. Those 10 people all graduated with a job, housed, stable, with a plan, with an infrastructure and support. They've had 0% reoffense, recidivism, 0. Not a single one of them committed a crime. And these are people I knew well. If I know a defendant's middle name, nickname, date of birth, I see them too often, right? And many of these people are just a revolving door with our jail, and they don't go to jail. We break that cycle with these people, and it's just so gravitating. It's so important, and it's money saving as well. We fund our court entirely on state grant money, entirely. We fund a full-time employee on that grant money. That Melise, and before her, Marlene, and Dan Bassler. If you don't know Dan Bassler, find him. He lives in Palouse. We'll bring him down someday, but he's a great person. He's the director of our probation services, our community court. We call our court Whitman County Community Court, and Dan heads it. And to make this kind of impact in a life, and just to be a small part of a program that improves lives and saves lives. Most meaningful thing I'll ever do professionally, and the most rewarding thing I'll ever do professionally. I'm so proud to be a part of that program, and I'm so proud of our team. And it doesn't come easy, and it doesn't come without buy-in. From the beginning, Pullman PD, Gary Jenkins, Chief Brashears, Pullman PD is bought in. We get a lot of referrals from Pullman PD. There's been incredible buy-in there. We've had buy-in from this council. We've had buy-in from the county commissioners, from our prosecutors, from our public defenders, and from our treatment providers, Police Recovery, Police River. It's been just sensational. Not everybody has graduated, but I'm even happy to report the 3 people that didn't graduate to this point. We placed them on intensively supervised therapeutic probation. Might be, we might need an acronym for that, but it may be something that I just kind of invented. But they've all done really well. They weren't ready for the program, and they didn't complete it. But then they pivoted and they succeeded elsewhere. So yeah, so that's been really, really special. I think I've yapped at you for almost 20 minutes. I gotta stop. I'm sorry. I could go on, as you know, most of you know. But I'm happy to answer questions. Melise is happy to answer questions. We're just happy to be here. Talking to many of you individually, I think there's there's a collaboration. We collaborate to provide justice in our community, and that investment means the world. It really changes lives and enhances lives. So I'm open for questions if you have any.
It's good having you here. Any questions? Any from any of the council members? Councilmember Fajera?
question and comment. Thank you so much, Judge Hart and Melise, for coming here and giving us an overview of the court system. And it's such a joy to hear about the 10 grads that have graduated from the therapeutic court, so that's just wonderful news. I just have one question about the recent sales tax increase that the county made, 0.1% sales tax increase. That sales tax is allowed for court operations. Was there any conversations with the county about using those funds?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Melissa and I were present when Sheriff Myers and Woodland County Prosecuting Attorney Dennis Tracy made that motion, encouraged our Board of County Commissioners to pass that increase. That's a long preface to, and I don't know. I hope some of that money will find its way to our court, to staffing our court. To be honest, I'm not here to lie. It's speculative, but I think a lot of that's going to find its way into the sheriff's office, because I think that's the area that they've identified the biggest need. But I think I trust and respect our 3 county commissioners and believe there will be discussion and consideration to spreading that money out where it's needed. We've increased our staff by 19 hours. What do you call that? 0.48 FTEs. And that is, wow, it was a breath of fresh air. And we'd like to increase that by 2.48 FTEs perhaps, and maybe that will help us. But that's a good question. Circle back to me, and I'll seek out a better answer for you.
Thank you for the insight.
Yeah, of course.
Councilmember Schumas?
Tony, hit me.
I just want to say thank you. This has been a huge education. I didn't know any of this, and it's awesome.
I'll
Thank
send you my PowerPoint.
Do it.
I will. I'll make you my PowerPoint.
No,
I kind of miss
thank
the Pullman Police Citizens Academy. Right? Yep. That was fun. I'll
Yeah.
send you my PowerPoint. It's pretty. It's light, and I didn't want to bring it to you and bore you because it's kind of boring.
No,
But I
just
appreciate
thank you. Thank you for what you do.
it. Oh, thank you.
So can you talk some about incident defense and the changes that are happening? I know there's a financial that we're very aware of, but there's also concerns of whether or not there's actually capacity to increase to the numbers that are we're being told that we need to increase based on rulings. Can you talk? Where do you see the challenges related to it? And I know, it was just in the news in the last 24 hours about a indigent defense that was 5.5 million over in Idaho. And I'm not talking dollars, but more, what do you see as this indigent defense change happens?
Yeah. So the shorter version, I was about to launch into a longer. You're welcome. So for a long time, there was a public defense crisis that was spreading throughout the state of Washington. And I get asked about it, and I'd look around and take a breath and say, not yet, not today. But one of our public defenders retires, moves, and that could turn in a real negative direction for us. But this was something identified statewide. And the solution proposed was, let's lower the threshold case limit for a public defender, thus creating the need to triple the number of public defenders to solve the shortage of public defenders. And I understand the long play there is a theory that public defenders burn out. They're overworked, underpaid, so they're leaving. And if the state says a threshold for a full-time public defender is 2/3 less than it was, then more people want to serve in public defense, and then that's going to solve the problem. But it also, as we know, creates a problem for executive branches because you have to pay for those people, and they expect to be and command that same amount. And in the state of Washington, there is an Office of Public Defense, but the vast majority, I would estimate over 90% of public defense attorneys are independent contractors. So And there's a market for that, and it's hard to not pay someone in the marketplace what they're worth. So it's a dilemma. Again, transparency. The District and Municipal Judicial Association, we did not take a formal position, but I haven't met a judge that agreed with lowering the threshold 2/3. It's reasonable to lower it, but 2/3 is uneven, in my opinion, because what it's doing is it's then creating such a burden on cities and counties, and it's not attainable to both lower the threshold 2/3 and fund public defense. So they solved the problem by creating a bigger problem. I mean, and I don't know, that I might need some legal advice. I think I kind of just implicitly criticized the state Supreme Court. We're not on the record though, so it's okay. Okay, we're good. No, they have a difficult job, and I politely and professionally disagree with the overreaction. I think there was an opportunity for collection, more data, more thorough analysis, and more of a balanced response. But here's where we're at.
Councilmember Vance.
Thank you for being here
Yeah.
and speaking with us. Given that background and explanation, do you see an issue within our county or our court system given that decrease in caseload?
Yeah, not yet. We've pestered Mr. Tracy because that's the categorization. So what they're doing is they're having a weighted caseload system. So a probation violation versus a driving while license suspended versus a DUI or an assault or a felony offense. We could recognize there's a different amount of time that a lawyer is going to put into that. They're weighted differently. We're waiting for our county's executive branch to present that weighted scale. It's not necessarily late, but I mean, Spokane County, there's a big lawsuit going on right there, and in part is revolving around that issue. So we haven't yet seen a negative impact, but again, we're one lawyer moving or one really rambunctious football season away from that pressure mounting. And it's all about acting proactively, anticipating these things and communicating effectively. I give Judge Roger Sandberg a shout out. Yeah, one of the things that he's talked to me about, and I concur, is we have a law school. Where's east? Right that way. We have a law school just down the road. Let's keep some of these fine young people that have freshly minted law degrees in our community. Let's put them to work as public defenders. And so there's an opportunity, and my hope is that the reduction in caseload is not going to put too much of a strain. And also, I guess I will say, and as you may know, that 2/3 decrease is amortized over 10 years. It does get spread out. But do the math for me. It has, well, I guess 10% of 2/3, and so you have to reduce it 10%
Each year.
Yeah. So I guess that math does add up 10. Yeah. So we'll get there.
With your work as a statistician, are there any unique things that you found that would help in the court system? And I'm thinking, the therapeutic court is an example. Are there other examples as a statistician, as you've looked through and seen things where we have a high, cases of this type or certain outcomes are there certain things that you can change the system or encourage the judge to change the system in it?
So we went to what's called EJ, or Enterprise Justice, through Tyler with the case management system in September of 2024, I believe. October 2024. And so that was a big transition. It's a new case management system. One of the things I've noticed is I'm going through the case from our old system, which is called JAS, and the new system, and trying to make comparisons so we can get data going back further. That's been difficult because they just record things a little bit differently. But I have been able to clean up data. That transition took a lot of effort from staff and from the administrative offices of courts and Tyler. And so they converted all the cases, they put it in the new system, and we're still kind of cleaning it up just to make sure it can give us good information. And so that's been kind of the biggest job I've had, is kind of cleaning up that data to make good data and making sure that the administrative office of the courts is creating the reports necessary to be able to report back. So one of the things that used to be able to be reported and put on the state court's website was separating out Pullman's numbers. We're trying to get them to bring back that information without doing too much additional effort. So, you know, it's just going to be a process. We're just finishing up that process to clean it up, and hopefully soon we'll have a lot of really good data to work with.
Okay.
Yeah, Melise spent hours. We really wanted to put together some meaningful data. I'm just giving you words, a lot of fluff, and she is the statistician and is going to give you some more quantifiable information. And she spent so much time with our new case management system, and it just wasn't delivering. And I think in large part that's because we're an early adopter court. Like she said, we went on October 24, and this has been a phased approach statewide. We're about halfway done. Spokane County is one of the last courts, and they go on like at the end of the year of 27, or maybe fall of 27. So it's going to take a while until our system rebuilds the integrity of our data. With that said, we do see the trends are consistent. Roughly 40% of all of our criminal cases are cited by or investigated by Pullman Police Department. Roughly 60 to 65% of all of our protection order cases involve 1 or 2 Pullman residents. I thought it was closer to 75, but Melise is discovering it may be 80+% of our small claims cases involve 1 or 2 Pullman residents. We hear a lot of landlord-tenant cases, right? So when it's 1, it's a tenant, and the landlord may be elsewhere. When it's 2, it's a landlord and a tenant that are here. They're not all landlord-tenant. We had an e-bike versus car recently. That was interesting. But many of them are landlord-tenant. The vast majority, 80% of what we hear is.
Okay.
Come to court and check it out.
Councilmember McDonald.
All right, so you talked about a couple of things. I've worked at SEL a long time, and that really resonated with me. It's like the mentioning about the local school. For sure, we live off of hiring new grads from the local universities. Love your idea there. The other one is that we focus a lot on like root cause and solving the underlying problems. So like hearing about the therapeutic court is definitely really inspiring, really exciting. What do you kind of, like if you had to project, like what's like your goal or your hope for like, how much do you think that grows over the next 5 years?
Well, my goal is to go out of business. I'm pretty open about that with our litigants. I'd be happy to go out of business, but I recognize we're not likely to. Really, well, our goal is 3-pronged, I guess. Primarily in an overarching desire to provide justice. And justice is both substantive and procedural. If there's somebody who their access to the court is cut off because they don't possess the technology, or they don't have the information, or the physical resource isn't there, that's injustice. And it's our job to be available, to publicize our availability, and to be open and available. But for me, I delegate the procedural aspect and the access to their courts in many respects to Melise and our staff. For me, I dig deep into this substantive aspect of justice. And that brings me to the other 2 aspects. One is to operate at peak efficiency and effectiveness. We're government. We're the 3rd branch of government, and all government ought to operate fiscally responsible. We are the stewards of our community's tax money. People work very hard for this money and their tax on it, and it gets turned over to our government to use effectively and to operate at peak efficiency. Finally, it's connection. It's to solve that problem and to use the resources, the technology, our efficient best practice to plug that in and to identify people with the help of Pullman PD, with the help of Blues River, with the help of our public defenders, our probation, that need that special help, that need more. You may not surprise you that I volunteered to teach at the Judicial College. All new judges have to attend Judicial College within a year of election and appointment. And I preach slowing down. Yeah, everybody's seen Jerry Maguire, right? Great movie. And Jerry got fired because he told everybody to slow down and do better. I love that message. Slow down and do better. Right? And if you enhance your efforts with efficiency, with technology, then you have more time to do better and to really connect and to make a difference. And if you go to a big city, it is an assembly line. Justice goes fast. I've had the opportunity to sit in other judges' courts, and my head spins. How did you get through a 100-person calendar? We don't schedule 100-person calendars. When we have EJ, our new case management system, allows us to set caps where our staff is locked out. They cannot set another case because we don't want to go beyond capacity, because that sacrifices the substantive aspect of justice. And so, yeah, hopefully that's a little bit.
Do you expect the therapeutic graduate numbers to grow over time? Like, is it gaining momentum in terms of like more people, or you guys are figuring out how to leverage that? Who's the right fit for that? And then like your stats for the graduates is amazing, right?
Right.
Like, so
we started out way too safe. And people are approaching this with caution, and I appreciate that. Our prosecutor's office, they negotiated a very narrow pathway into acceptance as a participant. And we're just knocking it out of the park. How come everybody's doing so great? Because we're picking and choosing the most likely successful candidates. And then we started taking some chances. And it got a little harder. Good, right? Because you got to unlock some of this and break through, and it's harder when the issues that people confront and suffer from are more complicated. And I mentioned low-level misdemeanor nonviolent offenders. Well, we have had a number of people alleged to have committed domestic violence offenses. They're only accepted if the alleged victim is signing off and willing to do that. A lot of times, who's the alleged victim? Their spouse. And their spouse wants them to get better. The spouse loves them and wants them to have a happy relationship. And we've had, those are tougher cases, and those are some of the people that haven't graduated but are doing well. And then some of the graduates are doing just great. And there's no, I invite you, well, we have, I forget what they call it, because, and we should embrace it. There's a law day or something like where the community's invited in, the executive branch is invited in. Come to our community courts the second, fourth Wednesday of the month most times. Come to a graduation. Our courts are open to everybody, and you'd be warmly welcome. There's nothing more special than seeing a whole family there with their patriarch or their matriarch or their older brother or child and celebrating their success. It brings me to tears. I wear glasses, not being, these are, I mean, not even real prescription. I do them to hide the tears because they are. But they're progressives. I'm getting old, okay? But sometimes I love that I have glasses on because it can shield the tears. Like, I tear up a little bit. I mean, who wouldn't? The Grinch. I don't know. Even the Grinch by the end of the movie was pretty emotional and empathetic. No, I mean, it's so gravitating. It's so great. I love it.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity.
Kick me out.
No, I appreciate the opportunity to talk more about the therapeutic, because we've talked a bit about it and the partnership that as a city that we have with you, because we're excited about the success that's going on. And as a community, we see that success and it's meaningful in our community. Not just the reduced recidivism, but the lives that are changed and the opportunity that is granted to them and getting them back onto a pathway as opposed to a cycle. So appreciate it very much.
And I never really answered your question. We want to grow. We want to double in our roster, and we're really encouraging. Dan Bassler was just pitching our lawyers, and I guess it's not the way to end, but I mentioned, like, we kind of grabbed 3 people that had that really unfortunate cycle, and we showed our county commissioners, and should show you the data. We just matter of grabbing it and emailing it to you. And a lot of it was estimation, but 3 people cost the court, the county, you all, in a derivative manner, over $300,000 in a year. Cost of prosecution, cost of jail, cost of probation, court time, and then that was a year prior to the creation of our community court, and the year after, 300. It was nothing. It was because somebody cared enough to take the time to humanize them, and somebody who's felt like they've been discarded by the system as they defined it, and somebody invested in them, and in turn they invested in themselves.
It's going to change their lives forever, right?
So
Yeah.
And they still
yeah.
come back and talk to us. We're talking about creating an alumni group where graduates get together and support participants, do things together. And you see it in bigger cities where you get drug courts. That's where they have a really strong alumni group, because they all have such a shared experience. Because of our lower volume, we broaden it to a community court. It's not just SUD, substance use disorder. It's not just mental health. It's not power and control. It's all a different journey. So it's really difficult when we do our updates, because I don't want to typecast anyone. I don't want anyone to feel, okay, we're complimenting your success and someone isn't having as good a success. Maybe they're having a tougher time. It makes it more difficult, but in a difficult task comes a greater reward, right? So, okay, I'm done.
Great.
Kick me out. I can stay all night. I thought we'd be here like in and out like 15 minutes, and I appreciate these questions are meaningful to me, and I love the engagement. And find me for coffee. Our doors are always open. We embrace transparency. We appreciate our collaboration and our partnership. It's been so successful. I look forward to become even stronger and more successful moving forward. I promise I'm going to reach out to all of you, CC Thad, and Ruben, and Jeff, and give you our contact so you can reach out and talk to us. A law enforcement calls me, I can't talk to them about cases and things like that, but if you want to sit down and talk about what we're doing, changes, updates, we'll come and do this, but we can also connect on a one-on-one level as well. Yeah,
Thank you very much. Appreciate you.
This has been fun.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, I'll leave.
Okay. Okay. Next item on the agenda for presentations is the Lodging Tax Advisory Commission. And with that, we have Chairperson Pat Wright to give an update.
Perfect. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And for those of you that are expecting an elaborate PowerPoint presentation, you're going to be gravely disappointed, because that is not going to happen. My daughter showed up. She was expected this week, but she showed up earlier than expected with a very busy 19-month-old who was in my business all day. So hopefully this will come together with some reasonableness, and certainly I am open to any questions on any areas that anybody can think of. But so to start with, you can't talk about the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee without talking about lodging tax and what that is. And in Pullman, we have a 4% hotel motel tax. And that in some regards is a little bit of a misnomer, because included in that would honestly be any place that offers lodging for up to 30 days. So your short-term rentals, RVs, anything like that in that category, taxes are collected. And as I said, that is for Pullman, it's a 4% hotel motel tax. So for the purpose of our discussion, that's what we'll refer to as the lodging tax. Revenues that are collected from those organizations come to the city. And so it is the job of the Lodging Tax Committee to actually make recommendations to the City Council for disbursement of those funds. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in detail further on to the presentation. The revenues collected from hotel motel can be used for tourism marketing, marketing and operations of special events, operations and capital expenditures of tourism-related facilities owned or operated by a municipality or a nonprofit. And we don't have anything in that last category. That's not to say that at one point it might not be worth our while or to our benefit to pursue something like that, but right now we don't. And so then that begs the further question of what is involved in tourism marketing and operations. So in that is included advertising, publicizing, or distributing information for the purpose of attracting and welcoming tourists. Okay. Developing strategies to expand tourism, operating tourism promotion agencies, and then funding the marketing or operation of special events and festivals designed to attract tourists. The Lodging Tax Advisory Commission gets its authority through both state and local code, if you will. It's RCW 67.28.1817 on the state side, and for Pullman, it is the 11.50.010. And as with most areas, the state code is usually the minimum or the basic requirement. And so the city has the ability to go beyond what is recommended at the state level. And we do this with this particular commission. And actually in the RCW, it is called the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, but our code refers to the Lodging Tax Advisory Group as the commission. It's the responsibility, as I mentioned, of the Lodging Tax Advisory Commission for Pullman to advise the council on proposed uses of dollars. And those can be identified in 3 different ways. One is through grant applications, and that basically is for discretionary events. Over the course of a year, we probably get, a minimum of maybe 15 to 20 grant request applications to fund different events and activities. So that would be one use of the dollars, and that obviously is the one that we see the most activity for. The second would be funding for large events and festivals. And the 2 that I would reference would be the 4th of July, which we have coming up at the end of the week, and Lento Festival. And for a long time, those 2 events were looked at on an annual basis, and now they have become actually part of the budget with review on a periodic basis. But so we don't have to get that paperwork and the documentation every year to fund those particular events. And then the last thing, as I mentioned, one of the uses of the dollars is for operating tourism promotion agencies. And for us, we do that through the Pullman Chamber of Commerce, who is currently the holder of the professional services agreement contract to provide tourism services to the city of Pullman. And we are now in our 2nd contract period with the chamber. That association changed about 4 or 5 years ago, where we went to a regular contract assessment, and we do have RFPs that go out every 3 years. So right now, the partnership is working quite well, but we have it in code that we will continue to ask for RFPs on that as we go forward. The composition of the Lodging Tax Committee from an RCW standpoint is that there are 2 representatives of the hospitality group, which we consider to be those who are actually collecting the tax for us. 2 members of the group that has applied for and received monies as a result of having grants that they've applied for approved, and then 1 elected official. As I mentioned, typically that's the basic requirement. We've taken it to a higher level, and so the composition of our Lodging Tax Advisory Commission is made up of 3 representatives of the hospitality group, 3 representatives of those recipients who have received money, and then 2 elected officials. Those are all 3-year terms. That was instituted actually in 1922. How about 2022? And prior to that, it was, the terms were always rolled over, but it is a lot cleaner this way. So we do have 3-year terms, which can be served up to 2 consecutive terms, but individuals can come back on the commission if they are out for at least a year. And those terms are staggered so that you don't have a rollover every 3 years. You don't have a full-on change of commissioners. As I mentioned, we've got events and festivals. The Chamber of Commerce is the professional services agreement, and we certainly will continue to look at that. But then the next thing I want to talk about is pertains actually to the discretionary grant process. And what we're looking at doing, we get, and Chantel, our wonderful staff support, who is attending tonight, she keeps us straight and honest and on top of these things. But we get multiple applications every month, and they have until the first of the month to submit those applications to us for review on the 2nd Tuesday of the month. That just kind of keeps everybody busy every month and kind of on tenterhooks if we don't know, from one month to the next how many applications we're going to have to review. And so it's not, to me, a very good and effective use of our time. So we're looking at refining the process to actually putting out a call for applications at a given time in 1 year. So, for example, we might be asking to review applications for the 2027 year, for all applications to come into us by I'll just use a random date, October 31st. Then we would have the ability to review all of those applications at one time. Also then being able to call in all of the applicants, similar to how they do. I think a lot of people are familiar with the way United Way reviews their grant applications. The different agencies or whomever the requesters can come in and make a presentation to the commission. We have better use of our time, better use of their time, and then hopefully, a more effective process. And then throughout the year, we would have more meetings, and so there's a lot of the details are still to be ironed out, because obviously a good portion of this will require some code change, at least on the Pullman City Code side. But so That was to be a very high-level, 35,000-foot overview of the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee / Commission. And just to kind of give you an idea of what we look at, since the first of the year, we've received and approved we've received 9 applications for grants. We have approved 8 of them, and when I say approved, that is council. LTAC makes a recommendation to council to approve these requests. 9 have been brought forward. 1 is on our agenda tonight for approval. 8 have already been approved. And so that has come into the amount of $173,600 for the year. That's from requested monies of $329,000. And so we are very judicious in terms of how we review what comes before us. And it has to have significant documentation that these events or projects that are applied for meet the criteria of growing tourism and visits into Pullman. So with that, I will open any questions.
So Pat, could you talk about when the lodging tax makes recommendation to come to council, what are the options before council? Can council, obviously we can pass it or not pass it, but can council make changes? Can you increase the dollar amount from the council perspective or decrease it? What is the authority that council has related to this?
Council does have the ability to ask for a change in what has been presented to them, and they have should they not approve the grant that is coming before them, they have a 45-day waiting period in which time to make supporting recommendations as to what to do with that particular grant. In my tenure on the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, I've never had council turn that back. A couple of times it's come close, but it's never gotten to that point. So, and oftentimes the way we handle these grants now, it is a real time constraint, because usually people are looking for something that's going to be for an event, within the next couple of months. And so to put them off for a 45-day period of time, if we were to reevaluate as a council, that really is not, that's not, for me, that's not the best practice, but certainly it can and does happen.
And say if a council member said, hey, I think this would be a great event to do, and comes to council and says, can we spend LTAC this way? Can council do that, or does council have to send the request to LTAC and it come up through LTAC?
The only way council can consider a grant activity is if it comes to council through the Lodging Tax Advisory Committee, and that is in the authority of the RCW.
And that's based on state law. That's state code, not city. So and part of this I wanted to help understand that. Now, does LTAC want to hear from council on recommended directions or areas that as a council feels these would be good things to increase tourism or a good, wise way to spend the money?
Of course we would be recipients of that information. Why would we not?
And I wanted to at least lead those things, because as council members, you're thinking about different, what about this or what about that, and to help understand the process that it has to go through LTAC, but LTAC definitely wants to hear, especially as we've just redone our goals. Are there certain ones where, as the goals, it's like we'd like to move this way? And I'll use an example where there was a point in time where we felt that there was really not a need to prop up game day weekends, but instead to use the money outside of game day weekends in order to try to increase those things. And so there was a point in time previous in the history where that was something that if you were trying to do an event on a game day weekend, it probably would not have worked its way through the process. That's not the way it is now, but and part of that is because of guidance and direction, both from evaluation from the LTAC side and from the council side.
But grants that come in outside of those busier time frames in Pullman still get greater consideration. If it's in a slower period of time, you're going to get greater consideration for your project than you would say if it was coming in the third weekend in September, where other things are happening. But an interesting case in point is the Holiday Fest that has been happening now in first weekend in December. I don't think there is a busier weekend in any community on the face of the earth. You start out with the Kiwanis breakfast first thing in the morning, and then there's everything from fun runs to arts and crafts fairs to luncheons to food collections. I mean, it's probably 10 or 15 different things that happen culminating with Holiday Fest. And that would typically be considered a time frame that's not in, you know, the busiest time frame given the athletic calendar. But you know, those things just kind of happen. But that event in itself has kind of become the capstone for that Saturday. So it's kind of made a name for itself just in that regard. But those are just some of the things that we look at. We look at who comes, what the distance is that travelers might be coming from. How are retail businesses affected or impacted by any of these different events? So we look at a variety of different things, all of which are part of the all of the grant requests when they come to council are part of the agenda, which is public record. And so anyone can go into any given agenda for council and look at what all the criteria is that has been reviewed for granting of these applications. So again, I am kind of like John. I was ready to be done, and then you just kind of keep going. Excuse me, Your Honor.
With that, so open up thoughts, questions, observations. Councilmember Fisher, it looked like you were ready to.
Yeah, just one
Yeah.
obvious question. Where would a group find the form, or where would they start if they wanted to apply for these LTAC funds?
If you go on the city website and just do a search, lodging tax, LTAC, and then it'll take you through to that link where you can actually find an application and submit it.
Do we historically spend all the money that is set aside for the grant side?
No, typically we don't. And the other interesting thing is that it is all funded by reimbursement. So you may apply for an amount of money, and typically the wording is approved up to this amount, and oftentimes those requests come in less than what was even officially granted. But right now, our budgeted amount is about $202,000. We've got activity for $173,600 with still 6 months left of the year. But the majority of, given the history, majority of the events have already applied for funds. And so that's another good reason for us to be able to look at this as a year ahead of time. And, you know, when we make our recommendation, we'll also be recommending that there's a certain amount of of dollars that are held aside so that if there is a need that comes up outside of that call for application timeframe, that we still have the ability or the latitude to look at those outside of that given timeframe. This right now is a work in progress, and our committee is very interested in doing this and working on it again to get to a more efficient and effective use of everybody's time.
And part of bringing this up is also because later we're going to be assigning people to some of the different work groups, and within those work groups, there's some of those work groups that the lodging tax funding could be, is something that could be a leverage and an opportunity within the work group to be able to advance some of the things that are listed there in the work group side. So that's just to give you an understanding. It's not, you can't use it for everything, but it's very specific what it can be used for. And that's why Pat kind of walked her way through that. So that it just helps give you that understanding. Any other questions or thoughts?
Thank you, and my 19-month-old thanks you as well for this.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the consent agenda. The items listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be enacted by a single motion of the City Council without separate discussion. I'd entertain a motion to read the consent agenda by title only.
So moved.
Second. Is there a second? Second. With that, Thad, if you could please read the consent agenda. Actually, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thad, would you please read the consent agenda?
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is a motion to dispense with the reading of the June 9, 2026 meeting minutes and approve them as submitted. The second item, a motion to dispense with the reading of the June 16, 2026 meeting minutes and approve them as submitted. Third item, a motion to approve disbursements for accounts payable checks number 2011-34696 through 2011-34856, totaling $1,746,599. Next item, a motion to approve disbursements for electronic transfers number 781 through 800 for $825,703.91. And finally, a motion authorizing a lodging tax grant to Pacific Northwest Golf Association for an amount up to $12,500 for the 124th Pacific Northwest Men's Amateur Championship.
Do any council members desire to have any items removed from the consent agenda to be discussed separately? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
And a second. With that, any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now on to agenda items for discussion direction. The first one has to do with when we place people, council members on the different boards and commissions. We've realized since then that the left board should have 2 members, council members on it as opposed to just 1, and Parks was placed on it. So I need a volunteer for the second person to be on the left board. Is there anyone who's interested? And the left board, Dee, I'll kind of turn to you since you're the coordinator. What are the normal duties and how much time does it take?
So we meet once a month. It's the second Thursday of each month at 5:30. It's held virtually, and it is the board's responsibility to review medical, dental, optical bills for left members and approve or deny those payments.
And
Meeting lasts about 5 minutes.
and I haven't had a left board meeting go longer than 10 minutes when I was on. So it's a once a month, but it's a short one. But it's specifically for those that are employed under left one.
What day is it?
I'm sorry,
You know, please do.
No, I will do whatever no one else does.
I was gonna do it. But you raised your hands first. No. You take it. Eric's gonna take it.
Okay, I will volunteer to be on the board.
okay, thank you. So, it is
Rock, paper,
appreciated.
scissors is not a good look.
We were both so excited. 5 minutes is a good time.
It's
It's,
easy.
okay, thank you very much. And then the next item has to do with work group assignments. At the previous council meeting, you'd approved the goals and priorities for the council. As a part of that, there were 5 work groups that were listed that would be listed by the council. If you've noticed, one of the things that Sean and I did actually work to kind of give guidance on the work groups as it related to, and it's more of a procedural because these work groups are basically a subcommittee under the council. So the council members and mayors are the only voting members on the work groups. The city council work groups are advisory to the city council as a whole. And so you can see these here, especially, and it's also one of those things that's encouraged that if you're working on something where it's good to include the community in, then please do. And in fact, I met with the new ASWSU president, vice president, and there are a couple of these where they would like to have some of the ASWSU to definitely be a part and be able to help in this piece. So there's an interest, you know, in that. So to be thinking in that way. My recommendation and would be no more than 2 work groups for a council member. I don't think capacity. I don't think it's wise to be on more than 2. Some of you I know, just because of what you're already in and already responsible for, only 1 may be, you know, wise in that way. And so I'm not going to make that judgment call. That's something for you. And with that, I was going to just kind of work my way around. I know we have 2 that aren't here, and so we'll have to pick them up at a future time in order to fill. Councilmember Shumis.
Sorry, you said you're going to work your way around, but are there times already set for the meetings of these? Because that would have impact on what I could or could not
These are
do.
brand new work
Okay.
groups. No, there's no
No
work
time
groups
assigned.
that are peak. Remember, we ended all the previous
Yeah.
ones. And even there's a couple of the work groups that have similar charges, but the charges have changed.
Okay.
So even in that, even in reconstituting the work group, the individuals that were community members that may be involved, it may be better to have a different subset that's there just by that nature.
Perfect.
But, so that's something that when they get formed, the first thing is going to be for the council members that are on the work group to figure out when is the best time. And then also we have staff liaisons for each one that we'll coordinate with also to help with that process. And so as I'm looking, I was going to first see for our most senior, if there was any, if you had a preference, give
Saying
for one of them.
Yeah, no, I got it. I'll be happy to serve on tourism,
Okay,
seeing as there is a direct relationship with LTAP, so.
great. Okay, and then Eric, I was going to look to you to see if you for your first preference.
Thank you. Well, first I want to thank RJ for the support of the housing group over the past 2 years. So thank you so much. The housing group is ready to continue their work, and I will humbly ask that I stay on it. I attended all the AWC sessions around housing. There is a ton of recent legislation in order to make housing more accessible for buyers, builders, and lenders. So I would love to stay on that.
With that, I then turn to Councilmember McDonald. I'm just kind of working through it, and then I'll work my way backwards for the second round. Do you have
I'd
a
love to
preference for your first
continue to
one?
be on the housing one
For
as
the
well.
housing?
Yeah.
And then, and I know it's a yeah. Councilmember Shumas,
Business and economic development.
okay. And Trevor,
I would like to continue my work on housing as well.
okay. And then with that, hold on a second. I'll drop into the influence and partners, just, and partnerships for mine, and then Councilmember Vance, would you like a second?
Oh, it's
I'm
like
gonna work
it's hard.
backwards.
Yeah, that's the fair way to do it.
I'm gonna work backwards, so.
Oh, nice.
Do
I gotta
you
go,
have-
yeah.
You must play fantasy football. No, I'm just kidding.
It's like in Settlers of Catan, you go
Oh,
this
yeah.
way and then back that
Yeah.
way. If you go first, you go last.
Would you like to be on a second one? If so, which one would you prefer?
Yeah, I would. I'm kind of torn between two of them, so I'm going to go with business and economic development. Not to discount tourism, which was my next choice, but you're also on tourism, so I'm going to go with that connection there. So, business and economic development.
With that, Councilmember Shumas, would you like to be on a second one or not? And if so,
I would be happy to continue doing welcoming and learn all that's there.
okay. With that, Councilmember McDonald,
The business and economic development.
okay. Councilmember Fajarin,
I would like to limit myself to one.
okay. And then Councilmember Wright,
I would too like to limit myself, but if you need population in these groups, I'd be happy to go with welcoming. So you can put that there. If you need.
Welcoming, part-time.
this, it's your choice. Would you like to?
Yeah, put me down for
okay.
welcoming.
I mean, I'm not trying to force one way or the other. Okay.
You have
Councilmember Shumas.
So what happens if we do end up with just one council member on that group?
Well, we still have two more council members to place.
Okay.
So I will work to make sure there's at least two on every one.
Okay.
So Wright is unwelcome. So what I have right now is Councilmember Shumas, Vance, and McDonald are in business and economic development. Councilmember Fajarin, McDonald, and Trevor are on housing. I'm sorry, Councilmember Vance.
That's okay.
I'm currently on influence and partnership for tourism, Councilmember Wright, for welcoming, Councilmember Shumas and Wright. That's what I have right now. Okay. And then I will, myself or Sean will talk with the other council members for that. Okay, great. Thank you very much. Moving on under other business, before we have an executive session, which we do have tonight, but it'll be short. We did have last week the Association of Washington Cities Conference, and I wanted to provide an opportunity for the council members that were able to attend to talk about what are some of the things they learned, what are takeaways, are there any, and because out of it, there's new ideas, that always come out of it. So would anyone like to share, or I can just work my way around? Councilmember Shumas.
Yeah, I took out a couple of things. One of the things that really resonated with me at the economic forecast breakfast was when he spoke about really celebrating what you have locally, and that really meant a lot to me. We have a lot of great businesses in Pullman, and I don't think, especially online, that they do get celebrated. A lot of times people will talk about what we don't have, And I just think, like, especially when I walk through downtown Pullman and I see that we have like, you know, a Bangladeshi restaurant and an Indian restaurant and a Chinese restaurant and a Mexican restaurant and a really high-end James Beard nominated restaurant. And that's just one sector, but, you know, we also have a world-class diamond and jewelry store. We have Bruce Books, which is a world-class used bookstore. Like, we have all these amazing things. And I just feel like sometimes we don't do a really good job of celebrating what we have. And that just really stuck with me, what he said about just celebrating what you have.
Yeah, so I ended up having to forfeit my ticket to go on a work trip. But RJ went in my place. He said it was awesome, and maybe he might even talk next year. So,
And I'll invite RJ up to the podium while we're working our way around, if he would like to share anything.
sorry, RJ.
Councilmember Wright?
So I think this was representative of everybody that was there, but we had a presenter doing the keynote speech on the first day in the morning. Is that at lunch on the first day. And it was the author of the book, 13 Ways to Kill Your City. And he was amazing. I don't think I've heard a keynote speaker be referred to so universally across everybody that was there and referencing, well, that was point number 3, wasn't it? Or that was point number 10. And he does it with a great delivery and humor. And if anyone ever has the opportunity to go to a seminar presented by Doug Griffiths, I encourage you to do so, because he is just excellent and dynamic. And he's from Canada, but he loves Spokane, and will come to Spokane anytime anybody wants to invite him. So.
Very much. And if anybody wants to read one of his books, I have a number of copies. In fact, I just got a signed copy from up there, so another one with it. Sean, did you?
No, I was going to say the same thing, is that we do have a lending library that we can loan those out if anybody does want to borrow a copy.
Councilmember Fajarin, you spent a lot of time in housing.
Yes, housing and kind of AI use. So I already mentioned it. Washington State knows they have a problem with housing, and this last legislative session is their attempt to try to make inroads in order to fix that. Some data from 2000 to 2025, Washington's population increased by 2.2 million, while only about 1.1 million housing permits were issued. Obviously, that is a significant supply gap. It's something that we've talked about extensively in our housing committee group, which is why we're trying to aim for 30 new housing permits every year. And what else? I went on a middle housing tour around Spokane. How Spokane describes missing middle housing. It's anything in between an apartment complex and single family homes. The hot ticket item up there is townhouses. So they're seeing a lot of new builds with townhouses, and those being built and permits issued for those. What else? Sobering point right now is in order to create affordable homes, like probably 300 to 400K range, the economy right now to build that is just not there. You usually need a third party like Hills and Rivers Trust or Blues Habitat for Humanity to supplement those costs. So I'm excited to pay attention to what Washington State has in the future about it. So.
Great. Councilmember Vance?
Yeah, also, like Councilmember Schindler said, I had a great time at the economic breakfast, economic forecast breakfast, and the breakout sessions and networking. It was great in hearing from our peers across the state and kind of what's going well in their community, what they're struggling with, some of the similarities that we have. I think one of the big takeaways, similar to what Councilmember Schindler pointed out, was kind of taking advantage and using what we have is big, especially from an economic standpoint, and kind of where things are trending, right? It's going to kind of continue to be a crunch, like also Judge Hart mentioned earlier tonight. So we got to be fiscally responsible with what we have.
that, R.J. Lott, any comments you have with your opportunity to be there?
Yeah, absolutely. I was able to attend just one day in the absence of Councilman McDonald. And like the rest of the council members who did attend, it was absolutely a phenomenal conference. Really the difference between a good conference and an excellent conference is the conversations you have in sessions as well as out of sessions. The ability to connect with others, others in our peer groups, both elected officials and some staff members from the west side as well as the east side. The biggest takeaway for me, and I know that Councilwoman Wright was in the same session, was the discussion of a flood in the Kent-Renton area, as I see you nod your head, and the ability or the lack of ability to send your own message, the word choice, the accuracy of mapping, the ability to disperse accurate information quickly. So what I did is I brought that back to my department. And what can we do when we message to our community here in Pullman, what word choices are better than others, what mapping, what speed and what accuracy is best for whatever that topic may be. So it was absolutely a phenomenal conference, and if I can fight and scratch and claw my way back for 2027, I will certainly do that.
Yeah, and the session you were referencing was where the example was there was a principal that was getting ready to evacuate an entire school based on fictitious social media storm that was going on that was saying that there was this incredible flood that was happening that wasn't happening at all. And
It was a trickle of water through a break in the levee.
but the impact it had throughout the entire community and the misinformation that got pushed out is just incredible.
So, yeah, I think everybody walked away from that meeting with it.
It was both entertaining and eye-opening
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
I had one other thing from the economic forecast breakfast. They talked about the job losses in the tech sector, especially in Washington State. And I was wondering, not that I have an issue with a good minimum wage, everybody deserves a living wage, but I was wondering how many of those job losses are actually small businesses going under due to not only the increasing minimum wage, but you have to pay in Washington Cares and paid family leave and all those sorts of things, especially if you're a border community like this one. And that wasn't something that they touched on at all because we are so like Seattle-centric in this state. And that was just something that I left wondering, you know, what impact there was there.
Yeah,
That was
and
interesting.
one thing, if you remember, that speaker did offer that if you wanted to email him, he would do deeper dives.
Yeah.
So I would email him and ask that question
Yeah.
to
Do you
see
have his email?
if he's willing to segment that out.
Yeah.
So, I say my takeaways, I do a lot of back of the scenes type of stuff in addition to in the conference itself. The Legislative Priorities Committee met. The number one issue for the legislative priorities is going into the next legislative session is that of a budget stabilization. That's really the focus that we want to, that AWC is looking at. And part of what it has to do with, there's a recent survey of cities in which 75% of the cities that participated in the spring survey, they're concerned about 2027 budget shortfalls. So, 75%, 38 projected revenue loss, 72 expect revenues not to keep pace with service costs. In that way, I also had an opportunity to advocate for the border community, supported businesses, and actually had a good conversation with a couple legislators related to the possibility of reduced B&O pricing around border communities as a way to incentivize businesses to build and be within border communities. So related to that, I also had the opportunity of actually being speaking at one of the sessions on community visioning, where we're talking about multiple approaches in engaging in community visioning, where I had Erin McCardle, which is the mayor of Chelan, join me along with Marcy Miller, who is the Heart and Soul coach for the Heart and Soul project here. And so I had opportunity to talk about different community visioning that we've done, and I talked over the last 10 years within Pullman. Some of the sessions that I would echo, one is the statewide challenges related to housing, was talked about, the budgeting, and then one that I thought was really interesting, the energy one that I went to. So there's concerns about achieving energy transmission needs within 4 years. So they're talking within 4 years of not having enough energy transmission for 270,000 homes is within the state of Washington as it relates to transmission needs. And it was interesting that Washington State is very focused as it talks about green energy, and everybody talks about Washington State being this green energy state, but they've actually legislated themselves out of it to where Washington State is 50th in green energy production. We are the lowest state in green energy production, even though we tout ourselves as this green energy state. And there was a lot, it was a really eye-opening session, that one, around the energy one in that context, but it's just understanding some of those challenges that are facing us. The last thing that I would say is AWC will soon put out a call for people that want to be on different committees. One of the committees is the Education Committee, and part of that Education Committee is tasked with is what type of sessions do they have at the conference, as well as other educational components. So if that's something that's important to you, I just want to put that as something that you can be involved with. Any last comments related to the conference? I'm glad those that were able to make it. It is always worthwhile. So I encourage you to continue to stay engaged that way.
I will say I did go to Francis' seminar, and he did a great job, and really promoted community heart and soul and how that tied back to Pullman 2040. And it was good to have Marcy Miller as part of that threesome up there, but he did a good job.
I was glad to be able to fill that space for them. Okay, for this, we now move on to executive session. This time, the City Council will adjourn to executive session pursuant to, while the provision of the Open Public Meetings Act does not apply to discussion relating to the interpretation or application of labor agreement or that portion of the meeting during which the governing body is planning or adopting the strategy or position to be taken during the course of any collective bargaining, professional negotiation, or agreements or mediation proceedings, or read the proposal made during the course of negotiations or proceeding. The City Council is announcing its intention to discuss such matters in executive session. The executive session is expected to last 10 minutes. If it becomes necessary to extend the executive session, someone will return to announce the anticipation additional time needed by City Council. The Council does not anticipate taking action following the executive session. It's 7:17 and we'll start at 7:20.
Executive session will be extended for another 5 minutes to 7:35. Executive session will be continued for another 5 minutes, ending at 7:40. Executive session will continue for another 5 minutes to 7:45. Executive session will be continued for another 5 minutes to 7:50.
It's 7:50, bring the meeting back into order. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion to adjourn the meeting. Do I have a second? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're adjourned.
Really?
The meeting.